What's going on, guys, and welcome to the finals of the, I think it was called Changing Winds or something tournament. It was a flash tournament that Xanthippus hosted Sunday last week. This is the finals of it. I've been kindly given the replay, so we're going to go through it. It was Enter Ranger versus Tila, as these replays tell us nicely. Now, the way the tournament worked was you were given a pool of factions northeast, south, and west, and the factions there were kind of based on the map, but pretty balanced, I would say. You use it, lose it, so you get whatever you have, and whatever you have left in the final, those are the factions that you can use. Now, I think both these players, yeah, so NCR subbed for me, I couldn't play, so NCR took my spot there. He has my factions, so I had the south pool, and Tila also had the south pool. So they have exactly the same factions to begin with. The question is just what factions did they use during the tournament to have, and what did they save for the finals. So let's get into the first game. I basically just agreed on matchups, I think. I don't know if they just did pick and counter pick. I'm not completely sure. But anyway, it looks like the first matchup is Kush versus Miss Saisley. Nice desert matchup. So let's check it out. Right, so we are on the beautiful Memphis map. We got the pyramid here. Look at the gold capstone there, pretty nice. And we got two desert factions, so the desert bonus won't be too big, but how both players use these forests might be important. So we got NCR Ranger here with Kush. I always wanted to take interesting theory armies, so let's check out what he has. He does have 3 disciples up in the center here, with 2 cav to support and kind of prevent them from getting charged, which is obviously very useful. He also has 3 Kushite slave infantry, which are pretty useless. I'm not even sure if they have javelins. We'll have to check out if they toss them before the battle starts, so before any engagement starts. But yeah, they're pretty worthless, so he's relying on these 3 disciples to kill a lot, which obviously they will. On the flanks here, he has Kushite slave spearmen. Looks like 4 Kushite slave spearmen, and over here he has 4 Nubian spearmen. So a lot of cheap spearmen here. Pushing the flanks with 2 cav on either flank, armored desert cav, Kushite royal guard. And Migen is in the Kushite royal guard here as well. There's a lot of spear support here. I would like to see his Kushite slave spearmen be on both flanks, because they will be able to ward off the armored Nubian cav a bit better than the Nubians. The Nubians don't have javelins, so that's that. And yeah, then he has these 2 armored desert cav in the center, so bit of a weird Kush army. Maybe gambling that he doesn't need too much infantry power to overrun Nvidia because of how good the disciples are. And he has a lot of cav, but the question is, do you even want a lot of cav against Nvidia? Who can bring Peltis and obviously these amazing Jav cav, but it does have the tools to ward them off with so many cheap spears. We'll just have to see how Tila can get after the cav of NCR Ranger here. I think one thing that Tila might want to do is not to go behind with all 3 of his cav. Right now he's going behind with all 3 cav, but the problem with that is that he fall into the trap where the cav can just run forward, and all of a sudden these cav are behind him. They can't really do very much there because these spears will just be sitting here, and the cheap cav will be sitting here, maybe like 2 or 3 of them, and then they can't really pressure the rear, and now some of the other cav is pushing forward, getting charges, and going after the slingers. So you should maybe keep 2 cav on the flanks and 1 behind. That way nothing can flank, because the armored Nubian cav will just start shooting them. If he wants to flank, he'd have to keep his spearmen there on the flank, and obviously at that point you're just flanking with infantry, and your cav support is very slow. Since they get ahead of the spearmen, all of a sudden the armored Nubian cav can jump in and start javelling them. So maybe that's an idea. But in the early stages of the battle, it's fine to do this, go behind, pull back a lot of enemy units. But he should go back around towards whenever he plans to engage. The other thing is he literally has, let's see, 11 cheap units in his entire army. 4 Kushite slave spears, 4 Nubian spears, and 3 armored Kushite slave infantry. So that's literally 11 units that are complete trash. So He's really investing in these disciples and the Kushite royal guards quite heavily. He also has no missile units, so he's gonna have to rush here. We need to go over Tila's army. We can kind of see it here. I think he has 4 tribal slingers, 3 armored Numidian cav. Obviously, you can see he has like 3 of these armored Numidian riders. I think Jen's there, and I think 6 infantry. Like that's 2 desert cohort, 4 desert legionnaires, 4 desert legionaries, something like that. We'll see as we get closer. Let's just move forward here. Here's a desert legionnaire. Might actually win against the Kushite slave infantry. Let's see if they throw javelins first. Oh, they do. So that's actually super useful. So they cost like 140 or something, really cheap. But they have javelins, so that makes them maybe better than cheap spears like these Nubian spears. The problem is they have no armor. Actually, they have 3 armor. What can I say? 55 health on the slave spears. Yeah, so they're a bit less well armored, but let's see. Tila's pushing forward here. These are just free charges. There's no javelins around here. So maybe Tila will just do this, wasting his armored Nubian javelins on these. So nice charge into the Nubian spears. Just gonna hit them really fast and just run away. 3 kills. The armored, this guy is like out here. The armored Nubian cav are converging, but over here, Xanthippus Ranger is charging out. He gets a nice charge. Tila does get the charge. It's not excellent. It's going into a nice square there, but these cav will hit these slingers as well, so that's nice. And here come the main force. If I'm Tila though, I would just be running away in the center. Like you're gonna win the fight so easily and quickly. Just run away from these epidemics, shoot them, charge them with the gen, and then just like run and kite. And use 2 javelin volleys with your desert legionnaires on them. That will kill them off pretty effectively. So let's just see what's happening over here. Counter charge coming in from these desert cohort. Again, they're going to be completely fine because there are no epidemics over here. Nice javelin volleys here, but again, you should probably only be using the javelin volleys on these disciples. Look how like pumped up they are on this square. If you just toss this javelin volley here, it would be absolutely devastating. Here, these desert legionnaires are getting run over. Again, why waste 2 infantry here? Just run away. There's literally no problem. They run away, these cav can get charged, and the slingers can shoot and stuff. So that's what I would be doing here. There's the like, I guess that these legionnaires are losing to the slave infantry, of course, but here comes a desert legionnaire, clear everything up. And now the problem for Tila is that there are 6 cav on the field, and all 3 of his armored Numidian cav here are out on the flanks, getting chased around by 1 cav, but they need to be dealing more damage to the other cav units. This armored Numidian rider is already losing men. He does have 6 cav himself, but he needs to be a bit more conservative. Like, there's no point in me doing this charge with enemy cav so close by. They're just going to lose out, and here he's losing his center very quickly to all 3 disciples. The flanks are going decently well, but he's lost a cav. He really needs to keep his cav more alive, I think. Because once he loses his cav, he's going to get recharged. This is kind of entering your plan. Just like tie everything down with the chief unit, come around with the cav and just blow it up, and in the center just win with the disciples. And that is working very well at the moment. Because his armored Numidian cav aren't having effect. Remember, I said if they're on the flank, right now these guys are getting shot, and at least they're getting HP damage and getting some kills while they try to flank. And then, you know, in the late game, these armored Numidian cav will be very deadly. Now they're just sitting here, like, sure, this guy was getting some nice shots, but he got caught. And these 2 cav are just not doing very much. There's not a lot of high value targets here. While 1, 2, 3 cav are over here in the gen, and a 4th here. So there are 3 of his armored Numidian cav plus 2 of these armored Numidian riders are all fighting away against 2 cav. While the 4 cav are on this flank and crush it. And the disciples already won the center, and they're going to come in here and win over here. So that's not good for Tila at the moment. And here comes Xanthippus Ranger crumbing through the center here. He will love to take this fight against the gen because he has spear support here. Obviously, he has a lot of support because all his units are just support units, basically. And yeah, these guys are winning, but at what cost, basically? The armored Numidian cav is already dead. It's terrible. He really needs those guys alive in the late game. They can practically win the late game by themselves. Nice charge from the armored Numidian riders here, but the Kushite road is not really going to care about his shitty shot cav with only 60 charge getting in there. There's a lot of support. And again, now he's just lost pretty much because the center is broken. He hasn't done any damage to the disciples, so that's going to be very problematic. He has no tools to stop him. His armored Numidian cav is being wasted at the moment, and that should pretty much call it. I mean, they're just going to collapse on everything. Tila's trying to get some charges, but there's so much cav left on the field. So an easy, well, I won't say easy, but pretty convincing at least, first win for Xanthippus Ranger. Yeah, I think Tila just didn't have his tactics down there. He needed to be not worried about killing all that cheap infantry, just like send some fodder units to clean them up. and the main focus should have been to deal with these cav. Once you deal with the cav, you have your own slingers, and you have armored minion cav to deal with the infantry in the late game. And also just avoid the epidemics at all costs. You do not want them getting into your infantry. And he had a lot of cheap infantry that could get cleaned up by like 1 or 2 legionnaires on each flank. The center, he just had to avoid those epidemics a bit more. But he didn't, and that's gonna mean disaster basically. And 1-0 for NC Ranger. I think it was a best of 3, so he is on match point. And if you look at the cav kills, very nice. And a lot of these units, Disciples doing excellently. I mean, just unstoppable. Here, Tila doesn't really plan to stop them. Sure, the slanking units did well, but the kills were on shitty units. And his armored mini cav got decent kills, and his armored mini riders got these kills, but again, they're all on these shitty units instead of on the cav. And that cost him in the end. Slingers doing absolutely nothing. When there's no enemy slingers, he should have been in a very tight formation so they could be very mobile. But he was like very wide and wasn't shooting very much. And obviously they didn't have much time to fire either. So 1-0, and now we go into the next game. Now in this one we have NC Ranger with Rome, and Tila is playing Saba, so Saba is very, very powerful. Should have the edge on Rome, no problem. But it has to execute, so let's see how it goes. Alright. This map is kind of ugly, but we are here on the plains of Sarai. I think it's not a desert map, so it shouldn't be a problem. And NC Ranger has brought quite an interesting army on paper. I think it actually kind of just showcases the desperation of Rome against something like Saba. They don't really have the chances, so he's brought in the back here 3 Spear Glenn Treacies, obviously very good against Cav. He has 4 Hastati, I think. Probably just using them for their jabs, or it looks like 3 Hastati. And 3 Saki Extraordinary, not the Cav, but the infantry, which are just Sand Knights basically. And again, just probably for the tankiness, they can maybe stand up to a Cataphract charge. And he has auxiliary Cav, 3 auxiliary Cav, 1 Saki actually, so very strong Cav force. And then he does have an elephant here, probably to kill infantry, since his infantry is actually not strong obviously for Rome. It's quite weak, so here you also see the 3 new minions, again anti-cav. So his goal is obviously very clear, it's to kill the enemy cav with basically his entire army is geared to killing enemy cav, or at least surviving enemy cav. He also has 2 vigilies at the front, just absorb cav charges. But the problem will be like, even with all of this anti-cav, it's going to be hard to kill these cav, especially with the nice support they have. And the other problem is you do have an elephant, but how else are you gonna kill all this infantry when your cav is not very good at killing infantry? Obviously they are worried about the cataphracts already, and your infantry, you sacrifice your infantry basically into all this other anti-cav stuff, auxiliary cav and spear gliding treaties and stuff, and you've only brought Saki Extraordinary instead like Avocati, so you're gonna be in trouble. That's for sure. Now we can check out Tila's army, I guess. We can see normal stuff. Force of being camel cataphracts, 1 marine camel cataphract, 1 marine guard over here, 2 marine guard, mascot marauders, 4 probably, yeah, 4 mascot marauders, 4 slingers. This is like the most standard possible army, and then you have a bunch of cheap spears. It's like, desert spear, 4 desert spearmen, and 1 speed sword. So very nice army for Saba. These minions are doing some good damage here. Cataphracts have really no chance to actually catch them. They did waste a job. The slingers are getting some shots though, so that's nice. And the Cataphracts have lost 4 men, so decent job from these. You know, basically with Saba, when you're facing horse archers, what you have to do is just literally box with your slingers, like slinger, like this, and just sit there and walk forward, because otherwise you are gonna get sniped a little bit by the jab cam since you don't have any of your own. So NC Ranger's trying to maybe capitalize on this disorganization from Tila's army here. He's running forward, Not a bad idea. But now the cataphracts can finally come into play against infantry. Their specialty. These slingers are doing nice damage to the minions as well. Not getting any kills yet though. That shouldn't be a problem. Let's see what his plan is to deal with the cataphracts. He's gonna just charge in, and this is not gonna be good. These auxiliary cav are not gonna enjoy this. The Siberian cataphracts were a bit low, but here he sacrifices his gen just to get in his units. But look how devastating these charges were on auxiliary cav, 800 cost units. But no chance against this Marine cataphracts. Here, one new minion gets caught. Cataphracts are just rolling in. Now the infantry can come in. And again, the elephant is here, but he's probably just cycling to get javelin while he's here. Some of the cataphracts lose a few men, probably the ones that got shot up, but not a huge problem. Here come the minions killing off slingers, which is nice because again those elephants will prove to be much more annoying. But here comes another cataphract charge, just getting into all these units. These spiritual trees are good, but what are they going to do against a heavy cataphract charge? They're just getting into all these units. It's not extraordinary winning this fight, but again, 3 cataphracts still completely alive. This one is probably going to die soon. Here comes the elephant, but now there should be javelins. I don't actually use them. The camel cataphract charge even could be good against the elephants. These elephants are so cheapy and bad. Here comes another cataphract for a rear charge. The general is going to get kind of caught here though. But that's definitely not good. The cataphracts will start to fall eventually here. You can see this one's down to 32. This one's still 51 though. This one's at 30. This engaged with an elephant. So the elephant could be doing very well. Getting 165 kills. But now the general is going to get out. Still has 40 men, so definitely not over yet though. This study shouldn't have wasted that javelin volley though. The problem is there's not much cav left on the field for Rome either. Just the stock dictate or auxiliary cav basically in the gen. Cataphract's getting another charge. This cataphract somehow gets a charge when it doesn't deserve to, or maybe it's just running away. His general is going to die here. He should have just engaged. If it has 20 men, it will die to the cataphract. By running away, he's going to lose more men than he maybe needs to. But this cataphract is 60 men, can basically win the entire battle by itself, except for this elephant. The elephant's going to be sort of a problem. Despite, but now the javelins come out, finally, and elephant is eliminated. Javelins, the ultimate counter to any elephant-related problem. General's out here with 15 men, with the auxiliary cav at 30 men, so decent numbers there. This cataphract, so we can see NCR has dealt with the cataphract pretty much entirely, but again, his other problem is always going to be, can you deal with all the infantry? And that is looking like a no, because infantry is almost all dead. And at that point, with no missile units, he'll just be, oh, he did forget an entire unit though, which is truly unfortunate. So really not giving it maybe as close as it could be because he's forgotten an entire melee unit and one of his better melee units at that. But the problem is there's a 48 man cataphract unit here. The gen's still alive, 15 men, gonna get in there and finish off all the other cav. Just the generals left at 9 men, sorry. And this cataphract is getting crew recharges, just finishing everything else off. It was kind of close, but see the general died as well for Saba. But unfortunately, these infantry units are just not up to the task against Mascot Marauders. It's not really their, these are not Akadi, these are Saki extraordinary. Basically, you have Staminites to finish your job, and it's not quite enough here, really. This cataphract is going to be super strong. All the slingers are alive. The general unit is alive, while the general is dead, and there's no way to really kill these slingers, so that's going to be the end of the game. Was kind of close, but in the end, Saba a much better faction. And they pull it out. So 1-1, and we go to the final matchup. Winner takes all kind of situation. Nice 300 kills from the elephants. That's pretty solid. And again, the socket, you can see the socket extraordinary. It's getting 56 kills. Maybe they held out for longer than the other Kali would have, but they didn't kill very much. The auxiliary cav, one did quite well, but the other two, nothing. The minions, pretty much nothing. You try to go for the slingers, but the minions are just so bad. The melee socket contains nothing. Stani. Decent kills, but again, not worth very much. Nice chevrons on the Spiritual Trees beats. They must have got some cataphract kills. If they don't get charged by the cataphract, they can come in and do some really solid damage, so looks like they were used pretty effectively. But again, the problem is they're just so useless outside of like supporting a cataphract fight. Like the cataphract just pulls out and recharges, the entire unit is dead, so that's definitely not good. Desert 3 been doing nothing on the side of NCR Ranger, or Tila, sorry, not really on this expected. Slingers were alive, so powerful late game tool. Cataphract's not actually doing that well. I mean, Enter Ranger obviously was planning on focusing down those Cataphracts with like a small army, but still, it's good to see that they were kind of stopped, but the infantry did enough to win basically 100 kills, 148 kills, and 2 of the Cataphracts did quite well. Basically, once these Cav were dead, it was over. But that's the thing, you need to keep these Numidians alive. These Numidians are alive with like half of their ammo. This Cataphract is dead, and they can chase down these slingers, and then these infantry for Rome could theoretically like have a shot at least. And these Numidians could like recharge and stuff like that. But he used them at the very beginning of the game, and basically wasted them. One of them got caught by Cataphract, which obviously is not good. But yeah, you need to be patient with the horse archers or jab cav against Saba, because once the HP is low, they start to become very, very powerful. But he attempted to go for the slingers early on. Desert Spearmen were in the way, did just enough. Obviously, these guys have not much melee capability, so costing their lives there. So 1-1, and we go to the final game. And this time, Enter Ranger has Saba and Tila. Obviously, because they use the Lose It rules, must have used some of his better factions, because he's down to Syracuse. And Syracuse versus Saba is not a good look for Tila at all. Should be very, very hard to win, so let's see what he comes up with. Alright, so we're here on the Odessos Plains, and let's look at Enter Ranger Saba. He's gone for a bit of an unconventional army, and he could have gone for the exact same army Tila brought, and he would have been fine. But he actually has some good ideas here. Not everything, but some of it's pretty solid. So he has Marine Camel Cataphract, of course. He has 2 regular Camel Cataphracts here. He also has 2 Desert Heavy Lancers and 1 Armored Camel Spearman. So he has 6 cav, which is nice because it's an extra cav unit that Tila may not be expecting, and again, the more cav is just harder to stop. Basically, I'm not sure why I went for the Desert Heavy Lancers. They cost like 130 less than the Cataphracts, so it could have basically got 2 more Cataphracts, kept this unit, or downgraded it to like a regular Camel Spear, or like downgraded like, I don't know, one of these like Masked Marauders or something, or one of the Marine Guards, like a cheaper spear unit. That would have been totally fine. I probably would have gone with that, and then you have this extra cav which can just like go around the flank or whatever. But other than that, it's pretty standard. We have 4 Masked Marauders, 2 Marine Guard, 4 Desert Spears that go around, and 2 Scythian Spearmen as well. And 2 Slingers. So again, surrounding his Cataphracts and other Cavs with all of units to make sure his Tarentines can't get to them. So Tila has the unenviable task of trying to stop this Cav rush with Syracuse, who doesn't even have running pikes, which maybe are a good idea. Doesn't have much good Cav, doesn't even have 41 missile damage Cav, or Horse Archers, or anything like that. So basically, this is impossible. I would say it's practically impossible to win this in Syracuse. But Tila has to give it his best attempt. He's also deployed very, very far back to maximize the time to Tarentines. And I've done this sometimes too, but then you see that the enemy is like surrounding their units with like every single unit in their army. You're like, well, okay, now I can't actually go with my Tarentines. It's going to be literally impossible. I end up just wasting ammo accidentally on something, and then you have to run your army all the way over here, and it takes forever. But it is the final tournament. You might as well start out like this and hope that you have some chance. But I doubt these Tarentines will get any shots. Just look at how many units are protecting these Cav. And NCR has this Cav snugged up in the center here, so there should be no problem. Just protecting them with everything. It does leave a bit of a gap in the back here, but we'll see. Again, yeah, see now you end up wasting units. You already wasted 1 javelin volley to get shot, and wasted another javelin volley, wasted another javelin volley, and now they're not even killing Cav. The Cav are sitting here. And if your army was closer, you could run up here with your slingers, force this Cav to run back, maybe you get a shot. But again, it's just so hard to kill, to get shots with 3 Cav against like 20 or 14 units basically protecting 6 cav. It's not really going to happen, so at this point, Tila's doing more harm than good because he's just wasted a lot of ammo. He needs to turn fire at will off at least. And now look at these cavs, they're way out here, out of range. He doesn't want to waste the javelin volleys. The slingers are getting shot with javelins, but it's not really a big deal. And then it comes in for a charge. This guy's got a javelin volley, and these Terrantines are now, let's see, they're already tired. They have nice kills on that slinger, but they've used all their ammo on infantry, making these cav pretty much unstoppable. I didn't go over Tila's army, so I should do a lot of chance. 3 pikes up front, very useful. Wish you had 11 pikes so you could bring more pikes, because obviously that's a good deterrent for cav. He's got 3 thorax swords and 3 samnites. At least they have javelins. I guess that's a good start. He's got a bunch of hoplite up here. Maybe you should throw on the flanks so they can't just directly charge. But whether maybe to absorb missiles, he has 2 slingers. At least he has the slinger advantage, but they're not a huge threat in the late game because there's only 2 of them. And he has 3 Italian cav and Pace Lancer gun, praying that they can get some cataphract kills at some point, but unlikely. And Tila is sort of on a hill, but not really. Looks pretty flat. I mean, from this direction, maybe a bit of a hill, but he's gonna take what he can get at this point. Terrantines, being annoying, but they're tired, so they're not gonna get maximum damage. Finally, they get 4 javelin volleys, or 4 javelins on this one camel cataphract, so finally some nice shots. Another javelin volley. That's decent, but it's a bit late. I don't know what these guys are doing. They're being shot up. They're already tired, so they can't run away. Their morale's gonna be bad, and they're losing a lot of men to these javelins, so that's not good. They get caught, and they're dead to this armored camel spearman, who must think it's very good, because not usually brought with Saba, but now it's getting a lot of kills, so epic. Good job for these guys. They only have 45 armor too, so they call themselves armored, but it's sort of a joke. Here Tila goes for like some aggressive play here, but the Desert Heavy Lancers are around with their 72 charge. Is it higher than the Camel Cataphract? It is, but they're only heavy. No, they're very heavy, so that's kind of nice. Nice charge from the Desert Heavy Lancers. Anyway, they get to take a few javelin volleys, but it's not too much. The Italian cav also lose 3 men, but these civilian spearmen are chilling. They have a nice 83 melee defense and shield screen, so they're not going to lose too many men. These cavalry only lost 3 men, so decent exchange in the end for the Italian cav, but their HP is going to be much lower than that if it had for that heavy lancers. Nice javelin volleys from the Terrantines, but he's already in trouble on this flank. I mean, he's doing well, but now this massive blob is running over there. Well, all in all, I think if you're Tila, you're taking this engagement at the moment. You've chased this heavy lancer away, you got your cav out pretty cleanly, he took some javelins, and there's a massive blob on your Samnite here who enjoy being the blob, and the pike can come to support. But the problem is you haven't dealt with any of the cataphracts, and that was the main problem from the beginning. The pikes are going to do decently here. Ranger is pulling back his blob nicely. Slinger's shooting cav, that's nice. And here these Terrantines trying to do something. Yeah, you better run away. Not good. He does actually bait this out though. Nice job. Not a nice job. It wasn't a job. He's Italian cav can collapse, but here comes another cataphract. He's gonna just maul this Italian cav. Shouldn't even survive this charge pretty much. And well, okay, they were already, but still they're down to 40 men, and the cataphracts have already proved to be practically unstoppable. Here the pikes weren't down, so this charge is massive. No javelins against him. The Sandwich needs javelin volleys pretty much to win. 4 men and 5 men and 2 men lost, so not a huge problem. And you can get javelin volleys, so again that's an issue. Nice javelin volley there. Kills a few men. This cataphract down, loses 10 men. He's gonna get charged by the head lancer, but Ranger just runs away, and the pike is dead for sure. And again, the maneuverability of these camel units is proving very nice. Here comes the general. 60 men could just like line up a charge. He just needs to actually click the order. He does it. Oh, but he just like thrown away. Ooh, indecision cost him there. He had the right order. He just clicked the order. Maybe it was an accident on this thorax sword, so he doesn't get a charge because the charge range is obviously too far. And now he didn't get a charge, but he can always just run away basically. And he's also just winning this fight because it's camel cataphracts. are killing off this pikeman. There are a lot of support here, a lot of supporting units doing. And now the cav, the armored camel spear, are just free to run around and kill shit for free. Basically, there's no cav left on the field practically for Tila. I don't know why this cav is like running behind his lines. Should probably be a little more organized there. This heavy lancer, again, nice casualties, but not super problematic because the general is 60 men, this cataphract is 51 men, and the cataphract has 29, so that's all good. Nice charge from the general here. Chasing off this armored desert guy, basically just runs away now because the general is getting chasing here. Some of them blocks the charge, probably some slingers blocking the charge, but it's shock cav on shock cav, and the base lancers are doomed to this armored camel spear, so that's not good. Trying to run away, but you can't run away from camels, they're just too fast. Tarantine's getting caught. His infantry is doing well, but that's only for the time being until these calves can get their charges in. And he should probably turn around and throw a javelin volley here. But he doesn't, so he's not going to get 3 javelins on this camel. And again, he just didn't get enough javelin volleys, basically. You need to get, like, if you have 6 javelin units, right, it's 3 thorax and 3 stamens, all 6 of them need to be on all 12 javelin volleys, 6 times 2 javelins per unit, need to be on the cav units. They need to be perfect, basically, for you to win. You need to use your cav and the Tarantines perfectly. It's practically impossible, like I said. I mean, yeah, it's not easy for sure, but now he's just got 3 cav running behind, cataphracts running behind, just eating up the infantry units. They have no problem in this situation. The general has done nothing the entire game because he's too scared to charge camel cataphracts, which makes sense. And NCR Ranger is just bouncing charges across the entire line, finishing off any units that come in their path. And that's the game. So Ranger won the series 2-1. Quite nice battles of 2 of them. This one, unfortunately, was left with kind of unfair matchup, but such is the use it lose it. NCR Ranger had 3 nice factions left at the end: Kush, Rome, and Saba. So we get to use all 3 of them in finals, which is quite nice. So look at that for kills. Yep, not particularly close, was it? It says Pyrrhic victory, but yeah, he didn't really. Tila didn't really use his pikes either in the way that I would expect. Like, they need to be anti-cav units. They need to be running forward with your infantry, your melee infantry, so that if he charges your melee infantry with the cataphract, you just put the pikes down and run your infantry unit back, and they'll hit the pikes instead of the infantry, and the enemy cav will and do a lot of damage. Instead, the pikes were like holding the center, but NCR was like, okay, the pikes are in the center, but all your infantry is on the flanks. I can just go there and get my cataphracts involved. And as we look over here on the Saba side, obviously they were nicely involved. 140, 165, 102. The Reed camel cataphract gen lost, I think, 0 men, which is kind of nice. 137 kills on these armored camel spears, very nice. You can see the other heavy lancers just don't stand up to the camel cataphracts for only 130 less. Definitely not the play. The main infantry force was practically unscathed. These Basket Marauders and the Marine Guard, who were fighting mostly in the center, did quite well because they had the cataphracts coming around the flank and getting those root charges. For Tila, his infantry did decently, but again, you can see most of the kills were on the Desert Spears and Sabian Spears, not so much on the main infantry force. So, you know, say what you will about the kills, but they're not that valuable. And then the Tarantines, like I said, were kind of wasted. The Italian cav never had a chance, really. They got some decent kills, but you wouldn't expect much more from them in this matchup. It's pretty tough to use them. And yeah, so Ranger wins the series 2-1. Thanks to Xanthippus for providing the replays and hosting the flash. Seems like it was a good event. Nice rule set with the northeast southwest pools. I thought they were pretty well balanced. And yeah, these games were a lot of fun, so that's cool. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Peace.